Okay people, so we have a few stories to talk about with this video. For starters, we have a big story coming out regarding The Promised Neverland. Now y'all know that the manga has been confirmed to be ending this week with chapter 181 of the series, but we have some big news coming out regarding Amazon, and it's kind of really interesting, and I'm excited to see what's about to go down with it. We also have seemingly an update on the Eden Zero news. Now y'all know a few videos ago I reported that there was an announcement about an announcement to come. A lot of people are confirming what that announcement is, so we'll talk about that. We also have something regarding the copyright laws in Japan regarding manga and magazines. They're really coming down heavy on that, and that's definitely something notable to talk about. And finally, a very bad situation happened regarding the NHK broadcasting system. They did some real messed up shit, so we're gonna cover that as well. Without further ado, let's jump into it, baby.
I say we gonna do what we do, no matter how you move, make your move. That's how it be though.
Okay, so for starters, The Promised Neverland. Now, The Promised Neverland, the manga is ending this week, right? We got chapter 181 will be the finale. I'm currently catching up with the manga right now. I'm about like 80 something chapters in, and I've been having a pretty great time. And to be honest with you, this series is very interesting, to say the least. Like the way that it can be adapted into different materials. Now, we know that there's a live action film that has been created in Japan. I'm not sure if it's out yet or not, but we've seen some visuals and it's been in production for a while now. However, Amazon has decided that they're going to make their own live action adaptation of The Promised Neverland, seemingly a series at that. Let's read the report and we'll talk some more. Aside from the upcoming Promised Neverland movie in December, it would seem a live action English series of the manga is coming to Amazon. Megan Malloy will be in charge of the script, directed and executive produced by Rodney Rotham, with Masi Oka executive producing, along with Roy Lee and Midi Yoon of Vertigo. And just a quick side note, according to the same article, Promised Neverland has reached a total of 20 million copies in circulation. Let's get some of the details here. This is courtesy of Variety, if I'm not mistaken. It says Promised Neverland live action series in development at Amazon. The Promised Neverland could be coming to Amazon as a live action series. Variety has learned that the streamer is developing a live action English language adaptation of the popular manga series written by Kayu Shidai and illustrated by Pasuka Demizu. Megan Malloy is set to write the script. The series will be directed and executive produced by Rodney Rotham, with Masi Oka executive producing, along with Roy Lee and Midi Yoon of Vertigo. Fox 21 Television Studios and Amazon Studios will produce. Malloy and Rotham both worked on the Oscar-winning animated film Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That is very comforting to know. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse has been very highly regarded, so the fact that they worked on that does give me a little bit more of a sigh of relief, but this is freaking crazy. Also, Oka is an Emmy and Golden Globe nominated actor, best known for his role on the hit NBC series Heroes, which I remember for the most part up until like the end, Heroes was highly regarded as well. He also produced the live action film adaptation of the anime series Death Note. Which film adaptation? I hope they're not referring to the Netflix one. His other current projects include a film adaptation of Mega Man as well as Attack on Titan. Ooh, that's not the best news there, but Oka, they're probably referring to, I'm hoping, the Japanese Death Note live action and not Netflix. Honestly, I feel as though, aside from the CGI of the monsters, the Promised Neverland manga, especially that first arc, the first season, is so not easy, because anything, you know, you could argue it's easy or whatever, but it's a lot easier than like a Dragon Ball or a One Piece or a Bleach or a Fairy Tail or any of those high action series. Like the Promised Neverland, especially, again, the first arc is mainly like what you see the monsters a couple of times, and for the most part is a bunch of little kids like trying to solve this mystery and trying to escape. So I think that this is something that, and I'm not really familiar, to be honest with you, with what Amazon has done as far as live action adaptations, but I think they can knock it out the park. And to be honest with you, I think if they make this one very well done, if this one comes out high quality with high regard, this could open up a platform for Amazon in terms of getting in an audience of people that are like, well, they're doing great live action adaptations, but you know, they could fumble it. I mean, Death Note, aside from Ryuk, that wasn't that difficult of a concept to put together, right? Like, aside from the Shinigami, there's no special effects or visuals and things like that, and they still kind of fumbled it. So you never know. But that was with Netflix. Amazon, I haven't seen them try their hand at this, and this is insane news, to be honest with you, because they are right now about to put out, or they put out, I can't remember what it said in the article, the live action Promised Neverland movie in Japan. So I'm curious to see how this is going to work out. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. They haven't tried anything. I mean, in this article, there was a couple of good things, like, hey, some people that were involved in the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse film, which that was a great film. But then when I read that Death Note thing, I'm hoping they're referring to the Japanese one and not the Netflix one, and then, you know, and then the Attack on Titan live action, because those were appalling. So I guess we just gotta wait and see, but I'm looking forward to it, and I'm gonna give them the benefit of that. I will check out at least the first episode or two to see what they're doing with it. Next up, just quickly an update. I'm hearing reports, and I haven't had any confirmation yet, but a lot of people and notable accounts at that, especially on Twitter, have been chiming in saying that it's been confirmed that Eden's Zero, and I'm imagining this is due to possibly leaks of information coming out of the magazine, that Eden Zero is getting an anime, that the announcement about an announcement coming is that it is indeed an anime. Really good shit. I think there's like 98 chapters of the manga as of the recording of this video. I'm like in the 50s. I started reading a few chapters again because I'm reading Promised Neverland right now, but I'm excited. I really hope, to be honest with you though, that they do this as a seasonal thing. You know, there's series that at this particular point, this day and age, that would have been bigger had they went seasonal instead of doing the traditional ongoing, like Black Clover. I truly believe Black Clover would have been 10 times bigger if they would have just did, like, you know, a 12 to 24 a year. That's become kind of standard, and we've seen how successful a lot of series have, you know, garnered, shall I say, how much success from that format now, the seasonal thing. So with 98 chapters, do it seasonal, give us like 12 or 24 really banging episodes, and keep on doing it like that. The days of ongoing anime is kind of becoming a thing of the past. Like, aside from One Piece that's been doing it since 99, there's not really any successful newcomers that are just every week banging out episodes and at the same time reaching a certain amount of success. So hopefully Eden Zero goes the seasonal route rather than doing like an ongoing thing, because yeah, I don't think that would work out too well. I'm looking forward to it regardless though, because like I said before in my last video, with the 50 something chapters I've read of Eden Zero, it is pretty damn good. And next up, we have a big article regarding Japan is coming down a lot stricter on copyright laws. Now, to be honest with you, I want to say that for the most part, this is going to affect Japan, but there's a lot of variables that also makes it affect, you know, all parts of the world, because for starters, a lot of it comes from Japan, like, you know, those aggregator sites for people that pirate, which I'm not advocating for piracy, but at the same time, it's like, it is what it is. It happens. People read their manga the way they're going to read their manga. Let's read the article and I'll tell you exactly what's going on. Japan's stricter copyright law on downloaded manga magazine goes into effect in 2021. Japan's parliament enacted the proposed revised copyright law on Friday to expand the law to punish those who knowingly download illegally uploaded or pirated manga, magazines, and academic works. The revised law will go into effect on January 1st. The revision also bans leech sites that aggregate and provide hyperlinks to pirated media starting on October 1st. A Japanese cabinet meeting approved the proposed bill on March 10th. Previously, the copyright law only formalized punishment for downloads of illegally uploaded music and videos, as well as illegal uploads of all materials. The revision will still allow for the downloading of a few frames from a manga of several dozen pages or more, or posting photographs where the manga is not the focus of the photo. So like if you're just like showing a few snippets or things like that, I'm imagining you'd be fine. Again, this is mainly for Japan. The revision will also not punish people who download derivative works such as doujin or fan fiction or parodies. Penalties for repeat offenders of illegal downloads will be up to 2 years in jail or a maximum fine of 2 million yen, $18,274 equivalent, or both. Penalties for those operating leech sites include up to 5 years in jail or a maximum fine of 5 million yen, which is about $45,000, or both. Also banned will be the pasting of hyperlinks to illegal websites on anonymous message boards or creating leech apps. And I'll be honest with you, there's a certain portion of it where it's understandable, like to go after the people that are putting up the leech sites from stealing the actual official release and putting it up. That's understandable. That's their stuff. They want to protect it, yada yada. I get that part. But to go after and potentially jail people for downloading manga from sites, like, honestly, I think that's way too extreme. Like, I couldn't even imagine somebody going to jail, like, yeah, they're doing 2 years, hey, what are you in for? Yeah, I decided to go ballsy and I read some One Piece illegally. Like, yo, that is just insane. Like, even the fine is like, oh, okay, how about you just fine them accordingly to how much they read, or maybe a little bit above that or something like that. But the argument has been out for a while, and to a certain degree I understand the argument as well, that if people are pirating and they don't support, more than likely they weren't going to support regardless. So to be honest with you, I feel as though they're going way too extreme. Now, I don't think that this will really affect outside matters of manga distribution, of piracy. Again, I'm not advocating for it, but I do think that this is going to be very interesting to see how it plays out in Japan, because I think that that's going to be ridiculous, putting people in jail and fining them thousands, tens of thousands of dollars because they read some manga illegally. Like, go after the dealer, not the users. You feel me? So that's my stance on that. I think that Japan is just taking it way too far. Yeah. And then lastly, in light of the protests and the riots and everything that's been going on here in America due to, what happened to George Floyd, RIP George Floyd, NHK, which is a broadcasting network, they're not an anime studio or anything like that. They've been, basically what they do is like, they're kind of like, Fox. Think of like, the network that just plays whatever they get handed. They're responsible for airing anime such as Attack on Titan Season 3, Bakuman, Vinland Saga. So they air the anime, but they're very big in Japan and whatnot. And they did something that is pretty disturbing, to be honest with you. In light of everything that's going on, they put together, I want to say it was like an animated piece, a computer generated animated piece, and it was very offensive, very messed up. Let's read the article and you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. NHK apologizes and removes news program's racist cartoon about ongoing protests. Japan's national broadcaster NHK is under fire after its reporting on the Black Lives Matter movement in America included a cartoon that depicted black protesters as racist caricatures. On Sunday, June 7th, the station's program, The World Now, included a computer-animated segment which purported to explain what was happening in America. The black protesters were depicted in the animation as angry, muscle-bound stereotypes. According to a report in Variety, the segment made no mention of the killing of George Floyd, but instead claimed that the protests were caused by the income gap between white and black Americans. The post drew online condemnation, including a Twitter message from Joseph M. Young, the interim head of the U.S. Embassy in Tokyo, who wrote, "While we understand NHK's intent to address complex racial issues in the United States, it's unfortunate that more thought and care didn't go into this video. The caricatures used are offensive and insensitive. NHK had uploaded the offending video to its Twitter feed, but subsequently took it down and posted a statement in English and Japanese. Here's the English statement. We at NHK would like to sincerely apologize for a computer animation clip posted on our Twitter account. The clip was part of a segment in the program Kore de Wakata Sekai no Ima, broadcast on Sunday, June 7th. According to NHK's statement, the animation was part of a 26-minute segment during the broadcast. This segment, NHK said, did report that the protests in the US were triggered by the death of George Floyd. NHK also claimed it acknowledged how many people are angered by the case, the handling of the matter by the Trump administration, and criticism against it and the divisions in American society. Regarding the 81-second animated clip, NHK said that it had quote-unquote aimed to show the hardships such as economic disparity that many African Americans in the US suffer. However, we have decided to take the clip offline after receiving criticism from viewers that it did not correctly express the realities of the problem. We regret lacking proper consideration in carrying the clip and apologize to everyone who was offended. So I want to start off by saying, because I seen just imagery of the clip, which it was very fucked up, and it's just like, this is something that I think a lot of us have known for a while with anime or animated stuff in general from these corporations coming out of Japan, is that they either normally don't have any inclusion of people of color, or when they do, it's usually some really fucked up stereotype, racist looking thing. I mean, no matter how much I love the character and whatnot, like you even take a character like Killer Bee, which I'd accredit that more to Masashi Kishimoto's ignorance, to be honest with you, than anything, because like the character, it wasn't like he was disrespected, but I mean, for crying out loud, all he does is rap. When he talks, 9 times out of 10 he talks in rap. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at things like that and you just see in Japan how it seems that a lot of it is due to not educating themselves, because at the end of the day, Japan is a more enclosed society, but also it's just a fucked up outlook that they have. And I think a lot of that is attributed to the older generation over there. Japan is dominated by older people, so they're gonna have those disgusting older views and shit like that, and it's all fucked up. Like, I honestly look at it like the fact that they're claiming that it was made to seem like it was a difference between blacks and whites payment. No, enough is enough. So for NHK with this apology that is just bullshit, because your actions have spoken time and time again, just in general, most of these companies over there have time and time again showed what they feel about us, how they view us and shit like that. Fuck you for that. Do better. Get more knowledgeable. Stop being pieces of shit when you do include us. Stop making us look ridiculous. Stop using stereotypes to describe us and showcase us. And if you're not going to do that and you're going to include us from time to time and just make us look silly, then we as consumers need to look at it and say, okay, you're not going to show us some respect in 2020 when you guys know what's going on. You know the deal, what's happening here in America. Then that's where we vote with our wallets. And okay, I'm not going to support that manga. I'm not going to support that anime, because again, enough is a fucking enough. Like, with this situation going on, how dare they do something like that, try to spin the narrative as if it's something other than what it is, and just absolutely disgusting. So again, one more time, NHK, for what you did and what you said, fuck you. And no, I don't buy that apology for a second. So yeah, curious what you guys think about any of these stories though. How do you feel about the Promised Neverland live action? Do you think there's a possibility Amazon could do it right, give it a good adaptation live action? Do you think it'll be better than the movie? You think they're gonna botch it again? I'm not really familiar too much with the people that have created some of those works, but I do know that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is very, very highly regarded, so that kind of gives me a little bit of hope. But then seeing the Attack on Titan movie, and I'm not sure again if that was Death Note live action from Netflix or the Japanese one, but yeah, a little bit skeptical of that. But just in general, what you think the Promised Neverland live action is going to look like coming from Amazon. It's going to be again an English one. Also, Eden Zero anime, yay or nay? Are you one of those ex-Fairy Tail fans that can't get over the fact that you hated Fairy Tail, so you're not going to give Hida Mashima's new work a try? What do you think about the Japanese copyright stuff that's going on, them being stricter? You think that's going to change anything? To be honest with you, I feel as though maybe in Japan it might get people a little bit more scared of pirating and shit like that, but they're always going to find ways around it. Like, it's a little bit disturbing too when you think about it that they put in about hyperlinks. Like, so is it a possibility if somebody in Japan accidentally retweets an illegally uploaded, manga streaming link or something like that, could they get targeted? These are the questions that you got to ask when you go into this territory regarding getting stricter on copyright laws. And your thoughts on NHK stuff. Like, I feel as though, again, my take on it is, if they're not going to show us change soon and stop doing these racist things and these disgusting stereotype caricatures, we gotta stop supporting the bullshit from the series that are doing these things. And your overall thoughts and expectations on any of these stories going on. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy. Have an awesome day. Peace in.
Everything good always comes to an end. If you stab me in my back, we can never make amends. Trying to move to acceptance, hard to accept it. Mistakes like mirrors, gotta reflect it. I don't wanna fucking leave, but I gotta leave the maybes to the crazies. Maybe one day there I go, admitting something in a subtle way. No more copies, leave without a trace.